First of all, Mr. Douglas, why is this book important?
Well, this book hits a new generation, which is extremely important. Action for Disarmament. You know, next year is going to be 70 years since Hiroshima, and for a lot of students, it's just part of history lessons rather than the real threat and reality of what exists out there today. Loose nukes is a terrible situation. I think we can work in our treaties between the United States and Russia and the other countries that have nuclear weapons, but terrorists are a different story. And through this book and through the internet, this new phenomenon, the ability of social interaction that exists now, kids from across the world in different countries can really communicate and talk with each other. So by giving them suggestions as to how to form clubs, groups, discussions, I really think it gives us an opportunity to renew this discussion for the generation that really counts.
Do you think young people can really make a difference? Do governments ever listen to them?
Well, those young people will going to be part of our government before we know it. In my own country here, the United States, I'm surprised the number of 20-year-olds that are running for Congress or local office. So I think by having a knowledge earlier in their life, that before you know it, they're of a voting age and they're at an elective age. And that this issue of nuclear disarmament will become hopefully as prevalent as I think it should be. I certainly had hoped in my lifetime to see the elimination of these weapons, and so I'm counting a lot on this next generation to get us there.
And what motivates you personally to continue the campaign against armaments?
I'm motivated by fear. I'm motivated tremendously by fear. It was one thing to work all these years and as slowly as it has, and we have gone down, from 70,000 warheads between Russia and the United States and down to 17. But the fear of a terrorist attack, the fear of someone getting hold of some highly enriched uranium or plutonium, this is a situation where we cannot have it happen. I believe if a terrible tragedy happens, we're going to see a lot of action very quickly. We'll see the elimination of weapons. But this is a situation where we cannot wait for that tragic incident to happen and then act. It's got to happen before that.
Have you seen any progress in the decade or so that you've been a UN messenger of peace?
I mean, yes and no. Obviously, it's a very critical time right now vis-a-vis what's going on in the Ukraine and Russia's posturing. I'm involved with, besides with working with the United Nations, several NGO organizations, plowshares, nuclear threat initiatives, and we just finished board meetings. And our hope is in terms of across-the-board negotiations that we can put these things in separate baskets and that we can continue our negotiations on weapons reductions. But we still have some treaties, SALT Treaty, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, that both the United States and others have got to acknowledge if we expect this to progress. We've been fortunate right now as to not the addition of many more countries in terms of that have adopted nuclear weapons. So it could have been a lot more. You have to remind ourselves there are those countries, Brazil, the Ukraine, South Africa, they gave up their weapons. So hopefully we can maintain it, but it's not a real optimistic time, no.